Hello everyone. I had somebody request to show some of what I considered simple adjustments and difficult things to do in DAZ. This is actually a file that I am doing that is going to be part of a commission. That is going to be a 6-page commission for a customer. What you see here is the initial character. This is actually a female body, but it has had several shaping adjustments done to it. There's the current list overall. Most of these, with the exception of this one here and this one here, you can find on DAZ3D's website. This was actually made with FaceMaker, and this was off of another website. But it is basically just used to adjust the chest. There are other tools that will do similar. I just happen to like this one specifically, as it is quite comprehensive and has a lot of adjustments that I can do with it. That being said, like I said, this is the base character. This character is actually going to transform to a different gender by the end of the comic. So what we have right now, there's no scene at all. The character is not adjusted, just wearing some male clothing. Again, this outfit you can find on DAZ3D's website. It is, I believe, the basic, or the sweater outfit. There you go. It does come with some alternate colors. I just happen to be going with these because it's going to change. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a scene. Now this can take a little bit. I have more than a few 3D assets that I've picked over the years. I know what I'm roughly looking for, and I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick check for bar to see that actually pulls up the one I'm after. As you can see, I've got several different bar scenes. It's just a matter of finding the new one. Not spotting it there initially, which means I'm going to end up going through products. Again, this can be a problem that you can end up in when you have about 3,000 different asset packs. Fantasy poses, fantasy hovel, fantasy castle. Could have sworn it was called fantasy bar. Maybe not. Let's just do a quick search for a fantasy. See what pops for that. Bunch of castle stuff, bunch of weapons. Stone building. Let's see here. Also, I'm just going to go and double check my recent purchases because I know the one I am looking for is product library Fig Fantasy Bar. Okay, so I just missed it when I was looking for it. Fitness Fire Fig Fantasy Bar. Now, while there is these scenes where I could just choose ready to render, the problem is at that point I would have to save this character separately. Fortunately, it does have a preloaded set, so we're just going to do that. It will take the studio a moment to basically load all of this. Hopefully, I'll be getting a new computer soonish, so the load times on this will be nowhere near as dramatic. A lot of hurry up and wait, as it were. And what this did is just import the entire bar into the scene. Just gotta wait for it to load through. There we go. As you can tell, we now have bar. We're going to have some clipping because that's where the wall was right there. We are going to end up putting these characters probably down here-ish. I see why it's called a fantasy bar. Okay, so what we're going to do is just take this character, move him down a little bit, just so I have a ballpark idea of where I want to put the camera. there. Now this is just kind of a placeholder location. I do need to then add in another character because he's going to be speaking to his friend who he does not know the true nature of his friend. I don't want to spoil too much. We're going to go and we're going to grab a character. I have plenty to work with. I believe I said I was going to go with a slightly Asian character, which means I'm probably... I have not actually picked up any recently, so... Landon is... Oh, there we go, Lee. Did have the one. I should probably pick up a couple in the future. So I'll let that load into scene. And it should pop up back here in this corner. There we go. Okay, so I'll go ahead and select Lee. Kind of drag him over here as well. Now before I turn him around, let me find an outfit for him. Let's see. Correction, actually, the outfit that the main character is presently wearing is the Winter Dweller outfit. Wardrobe, I know I have a more Asian kind of vibe. There we go, Mandarin collar and shirt. We'll go with set B. Real quick, alter the shirt. We'll go with the red one. And we need to go down here and add some hair. I'm going to go with Kyrian. It's one of my main go-tos. And we're going to want to change the color for that as well. I'll go with a black blue. Let's see what black red looks. Dark brown. No, we'll just go with straight black. And we'll alter the look of it a little bit. Find what I like. Let's go with this one. And we'll kind of rotate the plane as well because we know he's going to be sitting down here in a minute. I do apologize for the noise in the background, by the way. Okay. So, I don't really like this camera angle quite yet. That probably, I think I want him having looking at the seats. So, let's shoot for about here. And move him forward. I do want to do some adjustments to this character as a whole. This is all that's currently being used. But I do have a bunch of other people that I can use for basically their face to kind of give some uniqueness to the look. Let's see. Let's go ahead and use a churro's head for that, and we're also going to go into full body, and again make some adjustments for a churro. Let's drop Lee's body down a little bit. And I want to go ahead and add some muscle mass as a whole. So give a little bit of bodybuilder to it. Not a whole ton. I just want the guy to look athletic. Give him some more body tone. Yeah, let's drop bodybuilder back down. A lot of this is subjective. It's just what happens to look good to me at any given time. Height is fine. Doesn't need to be any thinner. Don't need to really adjust the weight. So that'll work. We'll go ahead and put them in a seated position. Before I get any further, I do want to go ahead and save this. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this happiness 01 because it's going to be page 1. Just kind of how I keep this. I apologize, it's not actually showing the save dialogues. But HAPP, happiness, P01, P1. So this will save the scene where it's at right now. The old adage, save often, save early. Always a good reminder. You never want to lose a decent amount of contact. Just wait for this all to save. And there it goes. And done. Alright, so back to this. Now before I get any further, let's go ahead and add this camera. I haven't even done anything with the lighting yet. This is just kind of getting a baseline done. I do want to actually double check the camera depth. That is not going to be far enough there, so it means I'm going to have to adjust the camera. Go back to that camera. I'm going to have to zoom in a bit. Double check from perspective. Okay. Now, as you can see, that background plane that's going to cut off about there. And this is where the whole scene will kind of start to blur a bit. Is beyond that. I'm also going to go ahead and click in depth of field. And if we skim back here, starts here. Focal distance, I need to actually increase that pretty substantially. So put it about, yeah. I'm going to increase the f-stop so that most of what I plan to be the focal point is going to be properly in focus. Okay. Let's back over here so we have a better shot. Now what we're going to do is go to Lee. At this point, I'm going to start looking at poses. I just want to get something that is going to fit the general scene. We do have poses here. I believe I have a simply sitting one. Again, this is if you scroll all the way to the top here, see this is my DAZ 3D library. So this is all stuff you can purchase off of DAZ's website. We do want to have the character sitting up. Let's see. Don't really see this character having his legs crossed. The first one actually should just be fine. Let's going to put the character in the direct pose. I'm going to lift it up. Put him in the stool. This does now make me, see that this isn't going to really match up to the bar too well. So, it also shows me that there's a little patch there that needs to fit over. There should be a parameter in most of these where you go through and you can alter it to, in this case there is one for sitting. So that's really super convenient. that actually just fixed that whole thing. What we're also going to do is going to grab this chair, we're going to unparent it, and then we're going to parent it to Lee so that when I move Lee, try that again, when I move Lee up to the bar, move the stool up to the bar. Now I'm going to presume Lee is going to be right-handed. So I'm going to go ahead and bend this up. And I also want to twist this because that's actually going to move the arm the way I want it to. Twist that. I put it about there. Change the bend down. Rotate around the character. Focus on the arm. Twist that over. Twist that back. Bend it again. I'll go into here. Now I've got some poses specifically for hands. Choose to say male. This is going to be the right hand. And that should work to hold a glass. I also do have poses specifically for drinking. Zeticus makes great pose sets for drinks. I could have just done that instead. Let's see. Not really. Actually, that probably would have just been easier. Props up for drinks. Male. Well, let's go and give him a tankard. And then put that in his right hand. I want to make sure I select the right hand ahead of time. There we go. And we will just adjust that so that it looks right. Side to side, so we're moving on that axis. And at that point, Stein should be fine, should not be interacting, or, yeah, okay. So everything should look close enough at that point. What we're going to also do is going to alter where his face is facing. Now I prefer to do the neck as one whole thing as part of the head. So we're going to rotate it about that direction. And let's go a little further. We're also going to go ahead and alter his expression. Again, I have a lot of these that I have picked up over the while. I have two different conversation ones here. There's not a huge ton of difference between the two. There's that one. There's that one. This one seems a little bit more optimistic, so we're going to go with that one instead. And I still don't think his head is going to be turned far enough, so let's go all the way. There we go. One other thing I just want to check real quick. Yeah, the bar stool is still off. So let's go ahead and translate that a little bit. There we go. Yeah, now that looks pretty solid. Okay, so I'm going to do the other character. This is basically going to be the same process I did with the other one. And we're going to come back up here. I'm going to make sure I can't select the bar at the moment. Select the main character. Now, because this is actually a female character, I could technically use the female pose set. It's really not going to matter too much as far as this initial setup, because the character is still male at this point, so having him look male, no big deal. Having the pose look male, no big deal. And again, we're going to bring the character up a bit. Luckily, it doesn't look like there's really any clipping on that. Do want to take this bar stool again, unparent it, use all of that, and then we're going to drag that teacup chair all the way back up here to that character, and then move it up to the bar. Now double check the camera angle. Okay, it's going to be too far up for what we're wanting to do. And then what we'll move is Lee a little closer. Now looking at this camera where it's at right now, I know I'm going to want to put speech bubbles, so let's go ahead and kind of center those a little more. And again, change the angle a little broader. Character is going to want to be facing a little more that direction. Yeah, now there, you see that clipping in there. So always want to check for that, because otherwise you just end up wasting time. Full body adjustments. Not waste. Always undo, just hips. Huh. Oh, that's because it's not actually clipping, it's the string. Sometimes that happens. So just make sure that, not select all. That was, oops, let's try that again. Select the sweater, make sure none of the adjustments are in there anymore. Alright, so everything looks good. Now, let's go ahead and leave his hands over the R, because character's kind of nervous at the moment. Now, I do not know if I actually have anything that's distinctly called nervous. Doesn't look like it. I have a lot more expressions that are actually female-based. Now here's a quick trick that I didn't learn until relatively recently. The thing here is called constraints, because we want the character to be looking at the other character's face. So we can go here, choose a character, go all the way through the bone structure, neck lower, neck upper. Head is going to be close enough for what I'm going to want here. And it's going to alter the eyeball to look specifically at that character. It does look a little off right now, but that's going to tell me that I actually need to adjust the character more so it looks natural. So hip, abdominal, chest, neck, and head. So now they're looking at the same location, and we can go to head and definitely tell the whole thing just looks off. So easiest way first is just to kind of alter that. Select the eye, and then it should auto-update. If it doesn't, just go back into constraints, make sure you select it again. Go back into constraints, select it again. Head overall. Still pretty far over there. Let's see if we can adjust his neck enough. That's already 100% over. So let's go ahead and go into his abdomen lower. Twist that a bit. abdomen, or upper and upper, I guess, then abdomen, lower, twist it a bit. See, now the eyes are looking a little closer to where they should be. Go back into the head. So there it looks a lot more natural. So this kind of gives us a general point of where I want this to be. I think I do want to adjust the twist of the neck a little bit so that he looks more like he's looking over at the other character. Also want to make it look like he's talking somewhat. So we'll just go in here and use my conversation, one of my conversation morphs. Conversation upset because character is just not really happy about something that's going on right now. Don't really want to go into too much details because of spoilers. And this right now will set the overall scene. Now this is before checking lighting, before checking anything else. And that right there, that's give or take about half an hour's worth of work. Like give or take save times. So let's say closer to probably 20, 25. Especially if you count in the prep of getting this other character ready. Unfortunately, my computer can be kind of slow for saving things. Again, working on that. Alright, there it starts to go. Now, easiest way I've ever found to check lighting is you just go up here and you flip it over into NVIDIA Array. I am not a fan of filament. I haven't really figured out how to use it. It just doesn't seem like something I'm going to end up using. I like doing it in Array. It just comes out better. It looks more realistic. So what you'll see here is that basically it's going into a pre-render. This down here is it basically going through each of the lighting sources that are in there. Now I will probably end up adding 3-point lighting to this on top of this, which 3-point lighting is simple enough to set up. You basically just need a plane and 2 spheres. I do not actually like using these spotlights. I mean, you can, but I always like the more diffuse lighting that I can get by creating a primitive and lighting off of that. So again, just kind of waiting for it to fully load. Now, depending on the complexity of the lighting, it may take more time, may take less time. This isn't too bad initially. I'm still not really happy with it because there's this sharp plane here that just bothers me a bit. So realistically, I'm going to want to put some lighting back in this area roughly. And then I'm going to want to have a light up in this corner and then a light down about there. So we'll go ahead and break out of texture shading, or break back into texture shading rather. Switch back to our perspective view. We got plenty of room to add a light over this. Now I could adjust the lighting that's already in the scene. I'm just choosing not to. I think I just want to add something for the purposes of just trying to make it look great. Because I'm trying to light both characters, I'm actually going to go sphere, sphere, sphere instead of plane, sphere, sphere. Now what I just did was just added a quick primitive here. I'm going to note that that is sphere, light 1. That is way over here in the corner. We're just going to drag that over. Move this up a bit. Drag it back. Now this is going to be outside of our camera's view. Realistically, I probably could just base it off of wherever that the fan is. It's actually not the worst idea. Yeah, let's just tweak it just a little bit. Okay. Now it's not going to be like wholly realistic, but it's going to be good enough for what I need it to do. We're going to go then into surfaces. Now this is the quickest way to just make a light. Now you go into sphere. You should already be set to do iRay. You go to emissive color, add a light. Now it's going to give you a temperature. This is a bar scene, so I want it about 5,000 Kelvin. That's going to be warm, but it's not going to be too warm. It's also going to ask for your luminescence. Now it starts at 1500. That's cubic or candelas per meter squared. I prefer using kilo candelas. That's actually going to be what amounts to 100,000 candelas per meter squared. Now to give an idea, we're going to go ahead and bounce back to the camera, take a quick look, bounce into NVIDIA iRay, and let it pre-render again. Now what this is now going to show us is basically how this looks with where that light is. That'll give me an idea, do I want to adjust where the light is? Is the tone correct? Is it giving me the lighting that I want to see overall? At least before adding the other two light sources, which again are going to go up here into the back. And there's going to be another one that's going to be basically about here-ish. Maybe down here. And well, the main light's actually over here. So for 3-point lighting, I want something that's back here. I want something that's effectively about like that. So it's going to be on the directional plane between these two and over here-ish. But that one will be for off light. Now if I was doing this traditionally by like actual movie, which I've been studying in school recently as a slight side note, there are actual angles that are recommended, but I just kind of like doing this. Now this, the light apparently did not give me near enough. Now just to kind of verify, I'm going to literally multiply that light by 5. So we're talking 500,000. You have to remember that light will tend to taper off the further away you get. That's why it's per meter squared. Still not really getting anything, so I'm thinking the light is just too far away. So what we're going to do is go back here. We're going to drop back out of texture shading. Go back to perspective. Yeah, I can see where that's going to definitely not be close enough. Now I could remove the ceiling to get a better view of this. Here we go. Let's put it over here toward the bar and down a little bit. Because I don't plan to show this back portion at all. Go back to the camera and again do a quick check on this. Now this is sometimes like just the longest portion of setting up any of these. The good news is once I've basically got this lighting set, I shouldn't need to adjust it for about the next 2 to 3 shots. Because I will basically be rotating around these two characters. Around basically this arc. I'm actually going to end up using this cup here, this fake glass with liquid as a basis or something. I'm hoping they've got an empty one as a prop. If not, I may have to use something different. I've got empty glasses, so. I get just a lot of hurry up and wait for some of this. It's just why this does take time. Okay, see, that's a ton brighter, like, over the scene. But there's still this huge cast shadow, which means I need to move it further along this plane here. But it means the next one will probably be close enough. So go back to perspective. And just drag that along there. Again, go back to the camera. And again, bounce it back to iRay. And more hurry up and wait. This is one of the reasons I really want to get a new computer, so that this stuff takes like seconds instead of potentially a minute, let alone the faster render time. And if everything zooms just right, this side of his face should be better lit. I think I am going to change the facial pose a little bit. I want to kind of give him a bit of a cocky smile because I know what he's planning on. Again, I don't want to spoil like the next shot. But everything, like if I can get the lighting right here, should be fine. I will probably actually tone back the lighting. Still a little bit shadowed, but let's see if I can get it any closer in line with that. Either case, it goes to show just kind of how difficult some of this can be. And once I basically get this lighting done, that's when I will just set the first render. And let's see here. I'm just going to use a quick trick. I'll set up a quick plane that I'm just going to use as a placeholder. Drag it over here. Drag it up. There we go. Okay, so that's actually, I want it to be about in line with this. So let's move the sphere so it intersects that. Okay. And then we'll just remove that plane. I probably should have just done this earlier. And again, we're going to go to camera view and let it load one last time. But that definitely will show you, how the moving light can affect the entire scene. Yeah, almost done, hopefully. Yeah, that's better. That's good enough. Okay. So at this point, everything is pretty much set up. I do want to go and double check something. I have kind of an oddball format that I use for most of my comic panels. It's 11.85 by 12.37. This allows me to use a pre-set up Photoshop that I have that has 6 frames in it that fits a standard comic page. So if you actually printed it off as a real comic page, it would fit exactly with the proper borders and everything else. And it just allows me to just drop them into a frame, and it just kind of works. So the last thing I'm going to do, as I did mention, I kind of wanted to give this a kind of a, not really a smirk, but he definitely is up to something. So cheeky smile. suspicious of the other person. No, that's him being suspicious. Here we go, cunning smile. I don't want it too obvious, just a little bit, kind of hint there. A little more. Yeah, I kind of like how that looks overall. Okay, so from this point, basically what I want to do is go in here, accept that, create a new thing here, a new folder, call it happiness. 01. And we're going to call this happiness page 01 panel 1. Use the large P for page, small p for panel, just to keep track. There's an easier way for me to do it. At this point, all you gotta do is hit the render button, and that's about it. Either way, that'll kind of give you a broader idea of how long this actually does take, because did this all in real time, no cuts. So if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Please like this video and subscribe. Peace.